What is going on, everybody? We are back at the Apex for a very fun weekend of UFC. We've got Asu Almabayev taking on Manel Kape, which should be a very exciting fight between two strikers. But before that fight, we've got a bunch of value on PredictionStrike in these undercards and a bunch more fun fights just for watching's sake. So let's dive into these. We'll give you all three of our best plays on the card. You can see all of our records now next to us. So you can put a little bit more stake in others if you want to, less stake in others if you don't want to. But yeah, let's lock in here.
We are going to have monthly records now. We're going to reset it after that to keep it not too crowded. So this will be the last week. As of now, I think everyone is in the positive. I think Jackson is ahead by a decent margin, and Wells took some underdog shots last week for sure. So I think his record might have taken a bit of a tumble. But if you're taking them with the odds, then he's probably still in the positive. So keep that in mind. You can't always just take the minus 500 favorites and everything, obviously.
Yeah, these are just straight win-losses here.
Yeah.
They're politely trying to say, I suck at this, so we're going to hide the records just a little bit for you all. So keep baiting me. It is what it is.
You got to take some of those shouts.
All right. We've got Charles Johnson versus Ramazan Temirov. Massive price discrepancy here relative to what the markets are saying. So let's walk through this. What should we kind of be expecting here?
Yeah, I think Ramazan is a really good buy. Just like without, because I do think this genuinely is like almost a 50-50 fight. I think it's going to be really close. So if you're a value person and you're betting just straight up like based on value, this is a great buy on PredictionStrike on the Temirov side of things. Charles Johnson is definitely not a bum though. He's a good striker, technical, good enough takedown defense at 67%. Shouldn't have to worry about that too much here against Ramazan, I don't think, but he's got very high volume, good cardio too. He can keep his hands going for a full 15 minutes. Has 4 losses in the UFC, all of which are quality, all of which were also to people who had a substantial wrestling advantage over him. I don't think that's going to be the case here. He's coming off a win over Sumu Derji, where he was actually wrestling a little bit and displayed the striking advantage. Ramazan, also a very good striker, very powerful, very fast, comes forward at you pretty much the entire fight if he can, is creative, definitely mixes in some kicks, some spins, or spinning attacks, big overhands. He is definitely a dog. And you can see by his strikes landed versus strikes absorbed that he is both very high output and has good striking defense. So I think this is going to be, and he's coming off a finish win over CJ Vergara. It's definitely going to be a great fight. Temirov, probably the more dangerous of the two. And I think I'm going to pick him, honestly, because of that. I do think Charles is technically probably has what it takes to go toe-to-toe with a guy like Temirov. But I think Temirov is going to be the one that is viable for a knockout the entire fight. I think he's more powerful. Charles definitely has the ability to stay on the outside and out technical Temirov, but I think that's just a little bit less likely, or he has less ways to win, I would say, than does Ramazan.
Yeah, I like the Temirov side as well, just especially given that inherent value you're seeing on the screen. I think if you agree with us and you're on the Temirov side, there's no better place to take it than right here on PredictionStrike. So lock that in.
Yeah, I'm going to rock with you guys on Temirov. Not a name I'm super familiar with, but I'm going to go with decision for him. I don't think he gets a knockout here.
You might know him as Ramazanbek Temirov. So I think that's technically his full name.
He wanted to make himself more marketable, so he just took the Beck.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Because he's a striker, so he had to take out the Beck.
Ooh. All right. On to the next one. Montana De La Rosa versus Luana Carolina. I tried looking through these girls' fights, by the way. I think one of these underdogs is very potentially live here. I just don't know which one it would be. So can you help me decipher, like, is there actually any life to that, or am I kind of living in a fool's world there?
In this fight, or just like in both of all 4 women's fighters?
We'll start with this one, but then once we get to the next one, we'll digress into that one. If there's one you like more than the other, I guess.
This one's kind of close to even, or am I tripping?
I want to say this one's close. Yeah, this one's minus 150.
Pretty much. It's 135 versus 115. Carolina's slight favorite here.
Yeah, and realistically, the odds on the other one aren't that much different.
Yeah, I think this fight should probably be pretty even. It's kind of like striker versus wrestler here. Montana is the wrestler, and she doesn't. I'm not just saying that she transitioned to MMA from wrestling, so she does have really good entries. Striking definitely can struggle there, but it does seem to be getting better fight over fight. Beat Andrea Lee in her last fight. Got 3 takedowns in that one, 50% takedown accuracy. Luana Carolina, mostly a striker, unlike Montana De La Rosa, who has really solid takedown defense. You'll see that 74% number on the screen. Very explosive, powerful, not the most technical, but works well in the clinch, probably better than she does at range, has good elbows, has good knees. She's coming off a decision win over Lucy Pudilova, where the striking just looked a lot better, defended the takedowns sufficiently. And I think Luana should be able to win this one just because she does have good takedown defense. Montana has real entries, but Luana is very used to getting taken down because that's what pretty much everyone who goes up against her is trying to do. So I'm confident in her being able to keep this one standing. And if it does stay standing, she's the far better striker.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm just going to go with her by decision as well. It just doesn't sound like it's going to be exciting. It sounds like this Carolina girl is going to be able to just fend herself off through the fight, and like Montana's just going to
it should be a decision for sure.
Grant, you like?
I will just say the Montana side. I think that's probably what I'm going to rock with here. You're getting better value on PS as well as you would elsewhere. Her last losses have either gone the distance or have seen her be submitted. I don't really see De La Rosa getting submitted here, so I think there's a path where she can get some top control going and just kind of outpoint this one. So I'm just going to take the value here.
I like it.
I like it a lot. All right, on to the next one. We have Danny Silva versus Lucas Almeida. Would you say this is a little bit of value on Danny Silva here?
Yeah, right. He's a bigger favorite.
He's minus 180.
Oh, never mind. So it's kind of reflects the odds.
Okay.
Pretty even.
But pretty even fight here. Obviously matches the books pretty well. And this should be a striking match. Both of these guys are generally want to keep it standing up. Almeida, powerful guy. Has a deep arsenal of striking attacks, really good at jumping up on the opportunity when he senses a finish. He doesn't really have much by the way of wrestling. Takedown defense is probably the biggest hole in his game, but he is definitely has good fight IQ, good in scrambles, good get-up game. Coming off pretty dominant win over Timmy Kuamba, where the striking just looked way, way better. Danny Silva, I'd also say, despite him having 4 takedowns in his last fight, is more of a striker than he is a wrestler for sure. Wants to keep it standing. Does a good job of investing in the body early. Pretty technical, good movement. You'll see that he gets hit more than he lands, which is insane because he lands 8.3 strikes a minute, absorbs 9.47. And yeah, I mean, he's not amazing anywhere. He can wrestle with you though if he needs to, and the striking isn't working. Is generally a decisions guy, I would say more so. He's coming off a win over Josh Cooley-Bow, where he transitioned to wrestling about halfway through the fight. I think I'm going to go with the underdog here in Lucas Almeida. Because while Danny did get 4 takedowns in his last fight, and I do think if it goes to the ground, Lucas Almeida is definitely going to be in trouble because Danny's the only one really with that wrestling in his back pocket. His striking defense is bad, though. Almeida's super powerful. I think more powerful, potentially just the better pure striker of the two as well. So I'm going to count on Danny Silva not trying too hard to get this one to the ground and Lucas Almeida stealing it.
Yeah, I like the versatility there as well. I'm with you on this one.
Sweet.
And It's trying to see like what actual competition has this guy gone against at any point, and it's like there's not really any like the thing. What is a majority decision compared to a unanimous decision? Like, is there a difference at all?
Yeah. I mean, it's just slightly different in the scorecards, but I think it's everyone.
3-1, 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to be another boring one, but he gets the decision win, like you're saying, Lucas Almeida. Like the Danny Silva guy, just a lot of these seem to be duds in his resume. So, all right, on to the next one. Andrea Lee versus JJ Aldrich. Even prices, actually, you get a penny's worth if you want, perhaps even more if you go with JJ Aldrich. Yeah, what should we be looking at here? She seems to be the favorite on the books, but not on PS.
Yeah, I mean, this one is probably going to be a boring one, to be honest. Andrea Lee is 0-5 in her last 5 fights. I mean, very high level competition, though. She is a good striker, good fundamentals. You could see that she actually does wrestle. She has 1.7 takedowns a fight and definitely has put in some work to improve in the grappling department. And yeah, she's 0-5 right now. Career doesn't seem to be headed in the right direction, really. But like I said, yeah. But it's quality losses, though. And JJ Aldrich is, I'd say, a grinder more than anything. Decent takedowns, good pressure when she gets you on the ground. But I'd say is mostly standing up, mostly a striker, though she does have a negative striking differential, absorbs 4.38 to 3.88 landed. And she got lit up in her last fight, which was a loss to Veronica Hardy. Honestly, JJ Aldrich sucks, in my opinion. And I'm just going to go with the underdog, Andrea Lee, 2 dogs in a row here, because, I mean, it's like Andrea's looked terrible. It's been against a lot better fighters than JJ. We've seen her get really good wins in the past. And yeah, she's a lot older, obviously kind of falling off, but I do think she still has that striking in her. And I think she's a way more talented striker than Aldrich. So I think she can light her up here, just like Veronica Hardy was able to.
Yeah, I'm just going to take the boring side here and take Aldrich by decision. Feels like the fight's probably going to be particularly boring, and that's how Aldrich's wins have come in the past. So take the minuscule value you're getting here, and is a pretty significant favorite elsewhere. So I'm just going to
rock that. But it's like if you're putting money on this fight, even on PredictionStrike, where it's more risk averse than other places, it's like I feel like you gotta assess your life. Like this is not
this is not the one you want to be focusing on. There's not a finish coming. Like if there is a finish, I think it would be Lee, honestly. But I think it's JJ Aldrich by decision. It's just boring and makes me want to yawn and scroll to the next one. Here we come, life. Douglas Silva, De Andrade versus John Castaneda. I want to say this has a little bit more life to the line. So minus 290 favorite here for Castaneda. A little bit cheaper, so you get some value on PredictionStrike there. What else should we like about this fight, though?
Yeah, you are getting a good price for Castaneda on PredictionStrike. Andrade is an old dude. He's 39 years old. Really powerful guy, really, really durable, good boxing, good BJJ. Prefers to strike, though. BJJ is kind of there as a safety net for him. It's not really his path to victory. Coming off decision loss to Miles Johns, where the striking was the difference maker there. Miles John was just a step ahead of him the whole fight. Castaneda is pretty well-rounded guy, decent striker, was also a collegiate wrestler, does a good job of applying pressure, setting a pace early. I think he prefers to wrestle. The hands are kind of there to set up the takedowns, but he can definitely do both. He's versatile, real entries, not a ton of power in his hands, but definitely is a pretty versatile striker in terms of the moves he's going to throw your way. He was outstruck at his most recent fight where he lost to Daniel Marcos. I do think this fight is probably closer than like the book odds in the book suggest. I think the prediction strike odds are probably closer, and you are getting really good value on Castaneda. I'm gonna go with Castaneda here. I do think just because Andrade is so tough, he might actually make this a pretty close fight, but ultimately Castaneda is the busier guy, higher volume. He's faster. He's got the age advantage. He's really just going to need to grind down Andrade here.
All right. Well, for what it's worth, this is my first one where I'm not going with something boring. I'm going with Castaneda by submission. Because if this ends up being a striking match, I think Douglas might knock him out. That seems to be the only way he's kind of really lost in the past. We'll see if we get a little bit of value. Rant, what do you like here?
Yeah, I'm going to side with you guys.
All right. With that said, we move to the next one. Ricardo Ramos versus Chepe Mariscal. So one guy actually looks like he's consistently going to the gym, and the other guy looks like he just started going to the gym. Walk us through it. What should we be expecting here?
Chepe is actually a beast. Chepe might have like the best cardio in the UFC. He is an extremely athletic man, and he's a big favorite here. For good reason, I'd say. Ricardo, definitely a dangerous dude. Coming off a win over Josh Cooley-Bao. I feel like 4 fighters on this card are coming off a win over Cooley-Bao, but he very good BJJ, explosive and fast on the feet. He'll do spinning kicks, head kicks, good leg kicks, invests in the body early. Very good in transitions on the ground. Chepe Mariscal, very well-rounded guy, collegiate wrestler, has jiu-jitsu championships, a kickboxing championship before transitioning to MMA, very solid striking, gets takedowns too, is definitely just an all-around dog. Not the most dangerous guy ever as far as one-punch power goes, but keeps the volume up consistently, overwhelms his opponents, insane cardio, like I mentioned, which is probably the best aspect in his fight most of the time, coming off the Damon the Leech Jackson win, that looked pretty much one-sided. I think Chepe is going to get this one. I could see Ricardo maybe catching him in something on the ground, but honestly, Chepe's BJJ I think is too good to even play around with that. So I think the cardio is going to be the difference maker here.
Yeah, I think he's better on the feet and probably on the ground as well. The only thing you're kind of risking is a little bit of a reach advantage. He is older, but like you said, the cardio shouldn't be an issue at all. He's great when it comes to cardio. So I'm taking the big favorite here, the first significant favorite on the card.
I like it. Yeah, I think you just made some really key points there, like both of you did, in the sense that like it does not sound like this fight is going to make it to the end. I think Ricardo is going to understand that and be like, well, the only chance I have is maybe trying to stand and bang with this guy, because former collegiate wrestler, probably not going to win that game either. So I'm going with Chepe Mariscal by knockout. All right, on to the next one here. We have Danny Barlow versus Sam Patterson. What should we really be expecting here?
I think this is going to be a good fight. Got 2 pretty long guys here for this weight class. Barlow, I'd say more of a striker, manages range well, also very powerful, can fight in the clinch. He has good short hooks, lead uppercuts at the clinch. Even though he does have a bunch of stoppages, he is very patient. He's composed. He waits for the right opportunities to dive in. Good kicks, just a dangerous guy. Also can be technical. He fights a lot better off of his front foot than he fights off of his back foot. Will get a little bit more timid if he's getting pieced up a bit. Solid jiu-jitsu as well, coming off a win over Nikolai Varetnikov, where he looked good. He missed weight in that one, though, which wasn't a good look. Patterson, like I said, he's a long guy, even longer than Barlow. Doesn't have longer reach, though, has an inch shorter reach. Not the best striker ever, but uses his length really well on the ground to wrap you up and go for submissions. Pretty accurate boxer on the feet. Has a ton of length, so he can kind of use that length to add a bit of power into his punches too. Not necessarily a one-punch knockout power kind of guy, though. Also, not the takedown D isn't the best. Very high center of gravity, coming off a submission win over Kiefer Crosby. And I was kind of 50s on this one for a bit. I was talking to Wells how I might like Sam Patterson here just because we haven't seen a super large sample size of Danny Barlow grappling. But ultimately, I just think because Sam Patterson, more so than Barlow, is because of the way he fights, is forced to rely on his length so much, and he's not going to have that length advantage here against Barlow. So I'm going to go with Barlow to win in a striking match. Might even be a knockout here.
Ooh, a little spice, something nice.
Yeah, completely different styles. I think it'll be somewhat clear after round one how this fight's going to go. If it's on the ground primarily, I would worry about Barlow, but I trust his ability to keep this thing standing up. Has just enough takedown defense, I think, in order to make sure that happens. So I'm on the Barlow side.
Yeah, I'm there as well. I'm just going to go with it by decision. Doesn't seem like it's going to be the most exciting thing in the world. Hyder versus William Gomis. Yeah, what should we be expecting on this one? We've got somebody who's undefeated and what is it? Coming off of 2 knockouts in a row here. What is the dog in this fight? I need to know more.
Yeah, William Gomis, the Frenchman, I believe his nickname is the Jaguar. Very well-rounded guy, kind of boring, actually really boring. He can strike, though. He can grapple. He can do all the things. Muay Thai base, can definitely snatch things up on the ground. Like I said, boring, super low volume, lands 2.69 strikes a minute, absorbs 1.6. I honestly don't think he beat Joanderson Brito in his last fight, but he did win that. Hyder, mostly an aggressive striker, likes a firefight in the pocket, good chin to back that up. He can definitely eat some shots, powerful guy, sets a fast pace. Not the best wrestler ever, but he kind of makes up for that with his explosiveness and his constant effort. On the ground, more of a grounded pound guy, can definitely give up positions if he's not being careful, coming off a knockout win, where he basically just got genuinely into a firefight there and knocked him out. Gomis, super boring guy against a super explosive, aggressive guy in Hyder Amil. I don't think this is the right time to fade William Gomis. I think Hyder's kind of the perfect guy for him to sort of just dance around, touch up, see a nice striking decision. Because, I mean, Hyder's wrestling entries really aren't that great at all. So, yeah, the only way I really see Hyder winning this one is with just pure effort, skill for skill. Gomis is the much better fighter.
Yeah, it's exactly the lean that I had on this one. The reach advantage helps a ton in that way as well, where he should be able to kind of keep the distance and just kind of use his technical ability to land some strikes, get some points up, and it feels like a situation where he can fight his way to a decision just by kind of picking his spots and not getting too in the clinch and use that reach to his advantage.
You know what? Let's give him a little bit more than that. Let's give him Gomis by knockout. Why not?
Gomis by knockout.
Yeah, he's that boring, but you never know, right?
I mean, you're probably going to get some juiced odds.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think either of these guys have ever been knocked out, so you should get a good price there.
We'll see. Maybe they bring some electricity.
I would be shocked if it ends by submission. So there's one.
If it does,
ways out of the way.
Austin Lane versus Mario Pinto. Very interesting. Like, I don't know. This one's like, all right, I just did an ad for Skims. I'm posing like this. And then, like, Austin Lane just, like, I don't know, looks soulless behind those eyes.
Yeah, this one is kind of a weird one, I guess. Austin Lane is a former NFL player, mostly just explosive, athletic, especially for this size. Basically going to try to work you to the cage, grind you down to the ground, and grapple with you. setting up all of that with some decently timed and very powerful shots on the feet. Coming off a big underdog win over Robelis de Spain, where Robelis just demonstrated that he was purely a kickboxer and not a mixed martial artist. And Mario Pinto is definitely the more technical guy of the two. I'd say a technical striker, invests in the body early, good leg kicks, lands 8 significant strikes a minute to his opponent's 4. Definitely the better striker of the two, definitely more technical. This is a very different matchup for Austin Lane from Robelis, and I think Mario probably has good enough takedown defense to keep it standing here. So I'm going to go for him here. I'd probably rather invest in him too than bet on him anywhere. I think the odds are kind of far blown for this type of fight elsewhere. So there are a lot of questions. It's a debut fight.
Yeah, I like Pinto as well. This fight feels like it could end in knockout, and Lane's chin has been a little bit questionable as of late. So I'm going to take the rising heavyweight prospect here. And I think he's going to stay undefeated at least one more time. So we'll see. This one should be interesting. Should be exciting.
Yeah. So honestly, like, he just has more actual fights in UFC-like environments between the two. It looks like Austin Lane does.
Yeah, it's Pinto's debut.
First.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying just in general, like looking at the other guys that they've fought.
MMA.
Like,
yeah, Pinto's fought 9 professional fights. Lane like 18. So.
Well, and it's just like I got flamed by a TikTok commenter for picking a guy that apparently just went up against a bunch of 0-1 guys. So I've been checking a little bit more of that, and the ratio just seems a bit lopsided there. I think Austin Lane has learned that, like, the way to, I don't know. Are you saying this guy is very well-rounded, Jackson? Like, he's got good takedown defense, etc.?
I mean, I just say I'd caution. Like, I do think that's important looking at like the 0-1 fighters, but I think that's just like part of the mystique. It's like, Taliesin Texera, for example, looked super solid. That dude has only ever beat bums in his career. It's how you find good prospects, but at the same time, that it's definitely, I think the odds on this fight are too far blown for sure. Too many questions on the Pinto side. Yeah.
I think Pinto by decision then is probably the weird way to get with it then. Because I was trying to think of Lane, but it's just like he's probably not going to outstrike this guy, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's like he would pretty much just need to work him to the cage, like be one of those wins, like just have him against the cage the whole fight, kind of working in the knees, the elbows. Like, that's how I see Austin Lane getting a win here.
Yeah, which is definitely possible. I think it goes to decision and is boring in that sense. Like, I'm just not confident that, like you said, that this line should be that far apart.
Yeah.
All right. On to the next one. Nasrat Hapquarast versus Esteban Ribovics. Yeah, this guy actually looks like he's in shape on the right. The one on the left. Yeah, what should we be expecting here?
They both got that like inverted stomach though.
This is true.
But Nasrat, yeah, but this should be a good fight. I mean, both these guys are good strikers. Nasrat, pretty high volume guy at 6.15 strikes landed per minute, absorbs 5.65. Also really good takedown defense at 84%. Very tough to beat in the striking department. Can definitely get the better of him if you push the pace. He likes to dictate the pace. One fighter that was able to do that recently and have success with Bobby Green. Nasrat is coming off a Jared Gordon win where the striking looked pretty good. Jared did have him on his back foot for a bit of that one, but Ribovics is also a very good striker, powerful guy, accurate, very patient, picks his shots well, 7.53 shots landed per minute to 4.95 absorbed. So high volume as well. Not just a striker, though, also has wrestling in his back pocket, solid jiu-jitsu, actual clean wrestling entries. And on the ground, he's going to look to pick up a submission. He is coming off a win over Daniel Zellhuber, where he basically just kept his power through the fight. Zellhuber was piecing him up a little bit, but he just looked great late into that one, survived. Ribovics is a fighter I really like. I also like Hapquarast, but he's just not dangerous at all. And I think there's a chance that Nasrat wins this one if it's a really close decision, just because he does tend to win those types of fights. But I'm going to go with Ribovics here just because he has more ways to win. He's a really explosive striker, and I think he's just a generally good fighter, probably the better of the two.
Yep, exact same logic. I think on the ground or standing, I think Ribovics will have the advantage in this one. Just kind of the more dynamic fighter. Is giving up some reach, I think. Yeah, 3-inch reach advantage here. And Nasrat seems to be a little bit explosive, but I just feel like there's more options to win on the other side. So,
for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm going to follow you on the Ribovics with the decision here. I don't think he knocks the other guy out. Definitely possible, like in any of these fights. I just think we're going to get a relatively boring card. In terms of those type of things.
With Nasrat being like a technically sound guy, and Ribovics having that reach disadvantage, I could definitely see Ribovics going to wrestling like kind of early-ish and it being a decision win, like you said.
All right, on to the next one. Cody Brundage, who, not the best look for our guy here, versus Julian Marquez. So the value is technically on Marquez here. Jackson and I were discussing this earlier. The line just seems wrong.
PredictionStrike knows something.
Yeah, PS might know something here. So walk us through it. What should we know?
Yeah, if Wells didn't make it clear enough, we're both on the Brundage side of things for this one. Julian Marquez is his opponent in this one. Pretty well-rounded guy, durable guy. All of his wins are by stoppage, and that, I mean, it seems like a good thing in a lot of instances, but he really does gas, and that kind of reflects that. Typically, he's not going to be working for takedowns. He's mostly going to be striking, but he can snatch things up for sure. Is dangerous everywhere. Most recently, I believe, lost to Zach Reese by way of KO, and that was, I think, a year ago. So it's a long way away for Julian Marquez. Cody Brundage, very heavy-handed guy as well. Good wrestler. Will come forward at you throwing bombs to set up a takedown. High-level wrestling. Wrestled before MMA. Averages about 3 takedowns a fight, I believe, 2.31. And yeah, I just think this is a good matchup for him, and we're getting really good prices here. Terrible prices on PredictionStrike, but elsewhere, he's about a plus 130 underdog. Cody has been looking really good in his current training camp. The Abdulrazak Hassan thing was genuinely a foul. He did get hit in the back of the head, so it was kind of a weird finish there, but he's a great wrestler, better wrestler of the two. He's got tons of power. He hasn't been away for a year. He's not coming off. I mean, he not coming off a knockout loss a year ago. I just think I don't understand why he's the dog here.
I'm slightly worried that we're all on this side, though. It feels like we're falling right into the trap here. It feels like there's some advantage that they assume Marquez is going to take here. So I'm a little bit hesitant now because it feels like all of us being on the plus 150 favorite or underdog and thinking that he's going to be or should be the favorite in this one is a little bit worrying, but I tend to agree. Marquez has been knocked out 3 times in his career, coming in off bad form. Feels like Brundage can probably take control on the ground in this fight. And then also Marquez doesn't really have the chin in order to ensure that he won't get knocked out. So this just feels like kind of a smash play elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Cody Brundage by knockout. Absolutely love it. And I think we just know ball. It's really that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think it's also going to be fireworks. Like, this should end early. I don't think it's going to go all the way.
I'm pretty sure Marquez does like a podcast with Lisa Ann, if memory serves correct.
So yeah, he does.
Yeah. Like, I think his mind's focused on other things. Like,
yeah, he definitely is one of those fighters who has some different escapades.
Yeah. All right. On to the next one. the final and main event, Manel Kape versus Asu Almabayev. A hard one to kind of read in full transparency. Tried getting Jackson's thoughts on this, and he kind of was just like, honestly, I'm kind of confused. But I think he has a better, more clear answer now on how exactly we should be attacking this. So what should we be knowing here?
Yep. So originally, Asu Almabayev was supposed to be Brandon Royval. Asu stepping up on short notice. Kape, basically a striker, super explosive, very athletic, southpaw, loves to apply pressure. That's when he fights the best. Also moves in and out of the pocket very well. Decent wrestler as well. Has that in his back pocket. He'd prefer to strike, though. Very fun to watch, coming off what was a showcase win over Bruno Silva. He just looked incredible in that one. Asu, also generally a striker, but he is a very, very good grappler. Likes to dictate the pace and control the range before leaping in for a takedown when he sees an opportunity. Does not look for submissions, really. He's more of a control guy, but he can snatch them up when he sees them. Very athletic, very strong, plenty of cardio, coming off a win over Mateus Nicolau, where, he won, but he got stuffed on pretty much every single one of his takedown attempts. And I think that's a really important factor here. Manel Kape, he has good takedown defense at 77%, and I do think Asu, without a doubt, is going to need to take down Manel Kape in order to get a win. Manel is an extremely talented striker, very unpredictable, has been in this spot far more times than Asu has. So I like Manel Kape here, especially considering Almabayev is stepping up on short notice. Yeah.
Great value here. We were talking about earlier the UFC lacking a bit of explosiveness and excitement in their fights, and Manel Kape can definitely provide some of that. I think he's in a good path here to probably a decision. Just at this weight class, it's hard to end with a ton of KOs. I think the volume is going to be crazy. He is a guy in this weight class that does have potential to fight towards a knockout, though, so that could be worth a little splash as well, but I like Kape here.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to follow you guys on this one. I can't seem to get the main event right, so we're going to go with Kape by decision. Well, that said, hopefully you invest accordingly. That is the correct way to go about it for this fight in particular on PredictionStrike. So hopefully you will profit just as well. No guarantees in life, of course. But if you haven't already, subscribe. Get Right Jackson a smile down in the comments. Give Grant a high five. And then I don't know what else to do. With that said, let Jackson cook.
Nothing in life is guaranteed except for a Cody Brundage win this weekend.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right. Until next time. Peace, y'all. Hope you have a great day. Yeah. Have a great day.
Peace.